Hi, I'm Sharon. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'll lead you step by step through the ABRSM Theory grades. There are lots of resources to help you if you go to my website. If you go to sharonbill.com, there you will find some free PDF information sheets like this one here. And they're available in US letter or A4, and they accompany each step of this series. All the information that you need to know will be found on these sheets. You will also find a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can access information about the books that I have available. If it is that you're working towards taking your exam in the ABRSM Music Exam Series, there's a book that I've written, How to Take Your ABRSM Music Theory Exam, and it's full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for that exam and also how to best use the time once you're sitting in the exam room. So if you go to sharonbill.com, it's all there for you. If you can give me a like, that would be really encouraging to me, and if you can subscribe to my channel, that means you'll keep updated. And so let's press on. We're carrying on with section B. So if you turn to page 7 in your workbook, have your pencil and eraser to hand, and turn in your PDF sheet back to section B. And so we're going to carry on making use of these key signatures of up to 4 sharps or 4 flats. So let's have a look at exercise 3 and see what's required of us here. I'll just grab my pencil. Make sure your pencil's nice and sharp, where I use a propelling pencil just to keep it nice and tidy. So here we go. Exercise 3 says that the accidentals are missing from these pieces of music. We need to look at the key that's labelled on the stave, and then we need to write in the accidentals before the notes that need them. So it's just as we did in that previous exercise, but it's in an actual piece of music rather than a scale progression. This first one here has been done for us to show us what's required. Now, of course, we need to make sure we pop in the sharp or the flat sign as appropriate to the key signature, but don't forget that once a sharp has been written, it lasts for a whole bar, so you may not need to write it next to absolutely every single note. The same is also true in a tied note. You'll notice that we need the sharp to begin with, but although the bar line would ordinarily cancel that sharp, because the note's tied, the sharp still holds. So just a little bit to bear in mind there. If you want to keep peeping at your PDF sheet just to help you, to remind you of what key signature or accidentals you need, by all means do so. But we need to perhaps build up to a working practice where you can do it without looking at that. And so I suggest that you press pause and have a go at exercise 3 on your own. It doesn't matter if you make some mistakes, you're only ever writing in pencil. It's better to learn by your mistakes. Don't just copy as I go along. You'll learn it much more thoroughly if you try it on your own first. So press pause, have a go, and then we'll go through these exercises together. So I'm hoping that you've had a go at this exercise 3 on your own. And so now let's look at it together. So exercise 3A, we're looking to make this fit the pattern of the E flat major scale. So we know that we need B flats, E flats and A flats. They're the accidentals that we're going to need. We're in the treble clef. So remember that every good boy deserves football are the lines, and face, F-A-C-E, are the spaces. And so here's our first note, E, which requires a flat sign. A also requires a flat sign. F we don't need to change. B does require a flat sign. And so also does this A again. We need to make that into an A flat. G isn't affected. B needs to be flattened. So does E. They're not giving us lots of room there. So you need your pencil nice and sharp to make sure you can fit the flats in. Okay, so now this bottom E flat requires, well, E requires a flat sign, E, F, A requires the flat sign, and that one is now complete. So let's move on to B. So A major, this is from the previous grade, so we've already covered this in grade 2, and we should remember that that requires F, C, G sharps. And so our first note is a C, F, A, C, so that requires a sharp sign. Carrying on, this is a G, this requires a sharp sign. So does the F. And we'll need to do that again because the bar line's cancelled it. We need to re-add that. However, D and B aren't affected, so that one is now complete. Moving on to C. So we need the key signature or accidentals appropriate for A flat major, which is B flats, E flats, A flats, and then D flats. That's our new key signature. So this first note E must be flattened. So must this A. And then because the bar line has cancelled that accidental, we need to write it in again. The B needs to be flattened. B, C, D now needs to be flattened. That's our new part of the key signature. E needs to be flattened. And then this E needs a flat sign next to it because it's been cancelled by the bar line, so we need to add it again. However, the tie means that the flat still holds, so we don't need to write that again. And so now we're moving on to E major. Now we've moved into bass clef, so don't get caught out there. We're now into bass clef. We need F, C, G, D sharps. And so there's a B. If you remember, it goes good boys deserve football, always A, B, C. So there's our first sharp. And then the bar line cancels it, so we need to write the sharp in again. C sharp, B. There's a G. If you remember, it goes all cows eat grass. There's a G sharp, so we need that. Now we don't need to write it again because that sharp still carries until after the bar line has cancelled it. We need to add it again. All cows eat. So there's our C sharp. Oh, actually, there's our good boys deserve. So there's a D sharp and then a C sharp. And that's it, we're sorted. So that's that completed. So let's turn the page over now. We'll have a look what's on page 8. So this time we're working at it in another angle because this time we've got all of the accidentals to give us the clue. We need to name the key of the extract and then we need to write it all out again, but this time we need to remove all the accidentals and add a key signature instead. So we have to look through to find out what our clues are. So here we've got an E flat, an A flat, a B flat, E flat again, there's a D flat, there's a B flat, there's an A flat, there's an E flat. So we've got B flats, E flats, A flats and D flats, which tells us we must be in the key of A flat major. And so we write it all out again, but this time we don't need these accidental signs. We just need to add the key signature, which does the job in one fatal swoop. So it's more to do with just copying neatly. I do suggest that you keep your bar lines aligned so you don't lose track where you are. So I just map that out first before you even really start thinking about much else. Just get your nuts and bolts in place. So we need a treble clef. It goes clef, key signature, time signature. So we need to just leave room for the key signature before we put the time signature in. So I suggest that you perhaps press pause, have a go at this on your own. You can always keep re-accessing into the video. So don't worry if you make a mistake, it's okay to rub it out and try again. So have a go on your own and then I'll work through that with you. So I'm hoping that you've had a go at that on your own. So let's try and find out what key we're in. We're in the treble clef and that is a note G sharp. There's another G sharp. We've got an F sharp. G sharp, F sharp, F sharp, G sharp. Now we've got a D sharp here as well. Now then, if we've got a key signature with F sharps and G sharps and D sharps, we have to have the whole key signature of F, C, G, D sharps. It has to have all of those in the key signature. The only reason why we don't have a C sharp in this extract is simply because there is no note C in the music written by Bach. in this particular part of the extract for it to need to have an accidental, but we need to include it in the key signature because, you know, next bar there may well be a C that needs to be sharpened to make it fit this key signature. So our key signature of 4 sharps is our new key signature for E major, which needs to be written in that diagonal pattern, and so let's add that in straight away. So F, C, G, D. Try and keep them tall and thin, otherwise you'll use up far too much of your bar and then there's no room left for your time signature or the notes. There we go. So that's the hard work bit done now, and so we just need to copy the notes. I tend to do the blobs first. So just keep everything aligned so you don't lose track where you are. There we go, just keep copying those blobs. That's the technical term. I should say note heads. Just keeping it all tidy, otherwise you'll run out of bar space. If you don't keep your bars aligned, you have a tendency to stretch, and then before you know it, you've run out of space. So I find that's the best way of working. So now we just need the stems. By all means use a ruler if you're not sure you can keep this neat and tidy. I'm just trying to be quick here for the purposes of this video. I think I will just quickly access the ruler here though. There we go. Now here, because we're going diagonal, all of those can go together, and then those two need to be made into semiquavers. Okay, now we're going to go diagonally the other way. I can do a diagonal going to the right, but I can't do it going down bang. I guess if you were left-handed it'd be the other way, wouldn't it? There we go, so that's that one. Okay, let's look at the next one. A little bit of a shorter one here. So we've got an A flat, and we've got an E flat, and we've got a B flat. So we've got B flats, E flats, A flats, which means we're in the key of E flat major. So we want, oh, I didn't write that in before, oops a daisy. That's the key of E major with 4 sharps. Should have done that first. So here we're in the key of E flat major. So you can either write it in words like that, or you could just say E with a flat sign. Up to you. So let's pop all of the bits and bobs in that we need. Clef comes first, then it's the key signature, making sure that it's all properly positioned, and then the time signature. And so now we just need to quickly copy those notes, but we don't need any of the accidentals now because the key signature does that job for us. There we go. So not forgetting the tie, just make sure you copy it accurately. And we'll just use a ruler briefly here. This is the nice bit. I love writing music, and all the thinking's done now, so you can just enjoy a little bit of manuscript, keeping your manuscript tidy. Okay, so what have we got in this next one? We're still in treble clef again. We've got a C sharp, we've got an F sharp, we've got a G sharp, another F sharp, C sharp, F sharp. So we've got 3 sharps all together, which means we're in the key of A major. If you look here, A major says we've got 3 sharps, F, C, G. So let's just do that quickly before I forget. And then your bar lines, so we don't end up spreading too much. If you're not careful with the key signature, if you kind of get your sharps too chunky, you're using up far too much space and there's no bar left for anything else. I've sort of hedged my clef a little bit to the left there just to give me a bit more space. F, C, G sharps, there's a key signature, time signature, and we've just got one quaver there. And then after that we can just copy away and all the thinking's done. So just follow exactly as they've written it. Just over a shot there. Just quickly get these down. By all means, take your time, use a ruler. In the exam, if you're not absolutely neat and tidy, you do risk losing a few marks, because if the examiner can't quite tell what it is you've said, if there's some kind of confusion, they won't just necessarily give you the mark with the benefit of the doubt, really. You've got to show exactly what you mean. Okay, next one. Now finally we get a quick glimpse into bass clef. So we've got lots of flats. So all cows eat. We've got an E flat. Good boys steer football always. A flat. Now there's a middle C. One above C is a D. So we've got a D flat here. There's a B flat. So already we've got B, E, A, D flat. There's another C, D, E flat, D flat. So we can tell we've got a key signature of 4 flats, which is our new key signature of A flat major. So let's just quickly map this out. Bass clef, following that precise pattern that makes a very recognisable shape, B, E, A, D flats, and then you just see it at a glance and you already know what those flats are. It's instantly recognisable if it's written that same way every single time. It standardises the key signatures then, really. Dot D, dot. Just trying to keep it level with what they've written so that you don't lose track of where you are. And there we go. Oh, dot. There we go. And so this last one, a little bit busier here. So we've got a C sharp, another C sharp, a D sharp, another C sharp, D sharp, G sharp, C sharp. So we've got C, G and D. Now it's impossible to have that C, G and D without the F at the beginning, so we have to add that F. The only reason that F sharp will be missing is because there's no note F to be sharpened at present, but we still need to include it in the key signature because next bar there may well be an F, and it can only be complete as a whole. You can't just take the odd ones. We need to show which structure this piece of music has been written in. So it's written around the structure using the notes of the E major scale. And just because every note isn't present doesn't mean it's not still in that E major pattern, and that's why we need to include all of the sharps. Let's put my bar lines in first so I don't kind of end up using more space than has been allocated. They've put etc, so we shall do likewise. So our key signature F, C, G, D. 5 cats go down, that's the way I remember it. The poem of course continues to make a bit more sense in later grades. And then we've just literally got to copy these notes. I find it really hard to just copy these without singing it in my head. I shall try not to burst into song. I'm certainly not a singer, but that doesn't stop me. There we go. So we just need to add stems and beams. I think I'll use a ruler here. That's a semiquaver, that's a 16th note. That will just kind of slip diagonally down a bit. I think my angle's a bit more acute than theirs, but never mind. Same principle here. And that's all the thinking done really. And it's just a matter of learning these new key signatures, and just with frequent usage you'll soon get used to it. And that is that. I hope that's been helpful to you. If you found that helpful and you've enjoyed that as much as I have, I love doing music theory. If you can give me a thumbs up, give me a like, that'd be fab. If you can subscribe to my channel, that means you'll stay updated. There's loads more to come. Please do go to sharonbill.com. It's all there for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.